So the Select Committee of Parliament, thank you very much. No, I'll go around the table and just mention who's there. Jami-Lee Ross, the third whip, with our local MP, which is Louise Upston. We've got Todd Muller from Fonterra. I hear he's absent today. David Bennett, our lawyer and accountant. We've got Megan Woods, Environment and Climate Change. We've got Dr. Kennedy, Crime of Aggression, which I'll mention, and Fletcher Tabuteau, Business School over at Wairiki. Mark Mitchell, Warden School of Business, an alumni with Donald Trump, I presume, and the chairperson of this, who I'm speaking to. Dr. Shane Riti, intermediate medical. I did his intermediate medical 7 years after Shane, and 2 years after he left the Territorials, I joined it. And Lindsay Tisch, the assistant speaker. So my presentation today, I will be addressing 2 points, a bit of on the copyright, but I'm going to get into, first of all, I'm going to address today the Select Committee by Fibre Optic here from Tokoroa. I did invite Winston Peters into the public gallery to listen, but he's given his apologies, and I'll be sending this transcript on to him. I wanted to address www.aardvark.co.nz the 9th of August. That was an interesting thing from Bruce Simpson here in Tokoroa. But I also wanted to touch on Anaru from Tokoroa as well. And he made some comments. These are my comments to his suggestions. So basically the TPPA boils down to the future, jobs in the future of New Zealand. The key part is the service industry angle for farming. So at the moment, the service industries like accountants and lawyers are booming, while the old farmer is not passing on the farm skills, the knowledge, not passing on the equity free of banks to the next generation. So currently New Zealand's cheeks are rosy as we run a pseudo tax haven. The honeybee and the beehive collects pollen while the financial sun shines before the worst. Then the 1929 crash clouds appear on the horizon. So the TPPA must be signed up before the crash happens, as the wealth is now unallocated. So Anaru made these points. He asked me not to talk about the 20 trillion of Crown minerals, but he said to talk about the focus on the economic structure and the various market distortions through policy and business and political culture. And this, it means we stand to benefit very little from the TPPA. One of the greatest threats to our economy is that the agricultural sector hasn't expanded in terms of employment. Rather, the peripheral service industries that support agriculture have expanded. And with the introduction of the TPPA, it will presumably restrict the ability of our government to provide stimulus for certain industries. For example, Landcorp making or getting 10,000 gates made. And someone on the committees knows a bit about Landcorp. Or Landcorp restructuring, or building more dams, or such like, to absorb or offset drops in demand to those service industries by drawing on capital or credit. I was asked to find something in the TPPA that threatens indirect subsidies or government infrastructure spending, something that threatens that, and highlight the problems by surveying a few local farmers to establish a correlation between the price thresholds and their probability of differing infrastructure-related expenditure. It's the agricultural butterfly effect, or the black freezing in agriculture, the margin number that will see a cumulative collapse in industries that support agriculture. So the TPPA, if it starts off this butterfly effect, this collapse in agriculture, that's the biggest danger that we have here in New Zealand. I'm going to segue now. I'm going to segue across into the article with regards to copyright. Now, copyright back in 1710 AD was for 14 years, both copyright and patents. But patents, very important for our scientific knowledge, haven't changed much. But all of a sudden, copyright on books and CDs have gone out to 70 years after the death of the actual person who wrote them. And some people living for 70 years plus the 70s, there's 150 years of protection. Now, the big corporates have got onto that. So this is run away in America. Now, if we adopt the TPPA, we bring that broken system here into New Zealand, and that's not good. And I just raised that as part of being. So are there any questions from the Select Committee? Okay, there being no commit, I've got 10 minutes and I've had 7, so I've got 3 minutes to sum up. Now, in my submission, I suggested that at the moment, the Crown Minerals, only 1% goes to the Crown, and 99% goes to whoever pays a few $1,000s to gain the mineral rights. Well, that's 20,000 onto, that's $20 billion, billion dollars onto the balance sheet of big multinationals. Now, what happens is, once that's gone, we'll never get it back under the TPPA. And so, to me, this decision, and that's why I raised in my submission about treason, I'm not an advocate of the death penalty for in pregnancy, or over 70-year-olds euthanasia. So I don't agree with death in those circumstances. But for atoning for a crime, I do believe life imprisonment. And treason's one of those, gaining life imprisonment. So this bill has to be very, very seriously looked at, because I believe that a wrong decision will be treasonous. And hence I raised, to get your attention, bringing capital punishment back for treason in this discussion. Anyway, that's all I have, and I'll finish on that. So thank you very much for calling me from the Select Committee of Parliament with regards to the TPPA bill. Thank you very much. Okay, goodbye. Thank you. And that's the end of it. Well, that's the Select Committee down in Parliament, and that's 25th of August 2016. So if you want to look up the transcripts of that, you can go in and have a look in there, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, thank you very much.